Hey everybody, it's Jenna. The first trailer for season 2 of Peacemaker is here, and whoo boy, there's a lot to break down. We open with one of the biggest surprises of the trailer, Max Lord, Guy Gardner, and Hawkgirl. They appear to be holding auditions for Max's personally funded superhero team, which, based on merchandise already released for Superman, seems to be called the Justice Gang. I love that they're included in this trailer. It makes this feel like a full universe where characters can cross paths in a multitude of ways, not unlike the comics. It gives us more of a glimpse of their dynamic with each other, and it keeps us on our toes about what might happen in the events of Superman. James Gunn has repeatedly said that Peacemaker Season 2 is set after the events of Superman, and I will admit, I have assumed that a part of the arc of the movie would be the Justice Gang being inspired by Superman to evolve their team into something else. Maybe this is a glimpse of what that would look like, or maybe the team just has another reason for continuing to do their own thing. Either way, I'm excited to see what this arc entails. Now, let's talk about Max Lord. Created by Keith Giffen, J.M. DeMatteis, and Kevin Maguire in 1987's Justice League #1, Maxwell Lord IV is a generationally wealthy businessman with a very traumatic past who throws himself into restarting a new Justice League. By that point, the team had already evolved from its original roster to its massive satellite era roster to the Detroit era of the mid-80s, which had disbanded during the Legends crossover after Ronald Reagan declared martial law and banned public-facing superheroes. By the end of Legends, a motley group of heroes had saved the day, and some of them decided to form a new league in the aftermath. They later learned that Max was pulling strings behind the scenes to form the team to begin with, giving them funding and adding members like Dr. Light and Booster Gold to the team. There have been multiple interpretations as to why Max did this. Some stories argue that he was unwittingly controlled by the new god Metron, or by the sentient computer Kilgore, or that he just chose to start the League of his own volition. Either way, from there, Max became kind of a complicated character. He absolutely has his charms, albeit in the prototypical 80s businessman kind of way, and he plays a role in forming multiple incarnations of the League, with the one I was just mentioning now being known as the Justice League International era. But he's also been absolutely put through the ringer. He discovered he has mind control abilities, he had his body taken over by a supervillain, he died of a brain tumor only to have his consciousness re-uploaded into a supervillain's body, and his mom died, all of which led him to have a growing hate of the metahuman community. The centerpiece of that was Infinite Crisis, which unmasked Lord as the shadowy leader of Checkmate, who tanked the JLI on purpose to make the superhero community very vulnerable. After shooting Ted Kord in the head and gaining control of Batman's surveillance system Brother Eye, he eventually had to be stopped by Wonder Woman snapping his neck. The death stuck for a little while, with him joining the Black Lantern Corps during Blackest Night, and the New 52 ultimately reviving him as the leader of Project Cadmus. This is far from Max's live-action debut, as he's played by Gil Bellows on Smallville, Peter Facinelli played him in a supporting role on the first season of Supergirl, and Pedro Pascal played a loosely adapted version in Wonder Woman 1984. I don't know how expansive Max's story is going to get in the DCU, but I do like Sean's energy in this scene, and I'm excited to see him in this kind of role after crushing 2 virtually unrecognizable performances in Creature Commandos. Also, I wonder if we'll see any of the other heroes that they might be auditioning. I would not be surprised if someone like Booster Gold randomly shows up in that sequence. Also, shout out to the spinner rack in the background of Crank Toys, a toy store that Arkham fans will recognize. Adebayo's wife works at the fictional coffee chain Jitters, which Arrowverse fans will definitely recognize for being one of the primary settings for much of the Flash television show. Jitters actually predates the show by a few years, being created by Jeff Johns and Francis Manapul in 2010's The Flash #1 and originating in Central City. I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up just being the Starbucks equivalent of the DCU. I like that we get an inkling of the character arcs in this trailer. I particularly think Amelia Harcourt's struggles with toxic masculinity are going to be really fun. As much as that is a clear laugh line in the context of that scene, I am a sucker for storylines about juggling femininity and identity in such a hyper-masculine world, and after the teases of her dad in season 1, I have a feeling that's going to be really interesting. We get glimpses of Argus and Rick Flag, who will supposedly be going on a mini arc between Creature Commandos, Superman, and this show. I'm very curious what the hierarchy is going to be at Argus, and what Amanda Waller's role in that is between the events of Peacemaker Season 1, Creature Commandos, and now this. I look forward to finding out more about these agents too. Tim Meadows is always incredible.
I will eat your head!
And I'm so glad to see Brandon Stanley, who played Leapfrog on She-Hulk, back in the superhero space. I do wish we had seen footage of Sasha Bordeaux, a character that I am super excited to see appear in this show, but she isn't one of the official stills that was released after the trailer. I selfishly hope we don't have to wait too long to get her comic-accurate costume and robot arm. Now, let's talk about this shot, which very clearly shows Michael Rooker playing a brand new character. James shared a photo of this character's back during the production of Season 2, which led to theories about him being the Super Friends character Apache Chief, or his later comic counterpart Manitou Raven. I had a feeling that the real answer would be a little more complex than that, and now that we see that it is clearly Rooker in the role, I'm even further convinced that it could be Travis Morgan, aka Warlord. Created by Mike Grell and molded after his own likeness, in 1975's first issue special number 8, Travis Morgan is an Air Force pilot who is accidentally marooned on Skartaris, a kingdom hidden in the middle of the earth that boasts entire civilizations, magic, enchanted forests, and dinosaurs. Travis quickly finds a home on Skartaris, going on adventures and stopping wars, all while subverting the tropes of the sword and sorcery and adventurer genre. He later has has the ability to return to the surface world, which creates some fun complications when he meets Oliver Queen during Grell's Green Arrow run and realizes that they look almost exactly like each other. I have hoped ever since James shared this photo that this mystery character would end up being Warlord, and while I don't know yet if I'm entirely right, I will say that elements of his costume bear a striking resemblance, at least in a casual context when he's not ready for battle. It also would explain the magic that's happening around him, and the fact that magical has been repeatedly used as a buzzword to describe season 2.
And it's a very different season of Peacemaker, very magical.
It also could create a really fun foil to Peacemaker's own struggles with growing up in the military and finding your own destiny outside of that. That brings us to the final scene of the trailer, Peacemaker meeting an alternate universe version of himself. I don't entirely know if this will be the DCU version, because I feel like the leak scene at the beginning of the trailer kind of counteracts that, but I could see this being retroactively classified as the DCEU version of Peacemaker, or being some sort of send up to his Charlton-era self, or just being in his own universe. We see a white dragon helmet on the wall and newspaper clippings referencing a trio of crime fighters, so it sounds like this Peacemaker might be much more in his dad's pocket than the main Peacemaker is. Either way, I like that we're fully leaning into the pocket universe of it all, a concept that has technically been all over science fiction, but that largely factored into a Superboy and Legion of Superheroes storyline in the 80s and 90s. James confirmed at CinemaCon that pocket universes will factor into Superman as well, and with all of the canon changes between season 1 and season 2, and season 1 referencing Batmite, it would be fun to get fully 5-dimensional with it. Overall, I think this trailer got us back into the hyper-specific energy of the show without giving too much away, which is great in my book. I have a feeling the fandom is going to have a lot of fun with this show week to week. What did you think of the first trailer for Peacemaker season 2? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends if you haven't already done so. Merch is available at the link in the description. As always, you can find me on social media at Hey It's Jenna Lynn. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, go read some comics.